Welcome to PopZique with Chelsea. Today we're going to be doing a really short yoga video, and so come along with me and do some yoga. So find your mat, find something comfy to wear, and find your way onto your mat. So we're going to be starting today in a laying down position. So just make your way all the way down onto the mat, and we're going to start some breathing exercises. All right, so now that we're here and we're comfy, let's get our back flat on the mat, and maybe get your legs as flat on the mat as you want to make them. And just start with some breathing. So take a really deep breath in. Don't mind me as I fix my hair. And then a deep breath out. Feel the breath as it moves through your throat down into your lungs. So just relaxing, feeling your body as it melts into the floor. So we want to do some relaxing yoga today. Just kind of help our body wake up, help our mind wake up, and help everything just relax and release. Just a few more breaths here. And then slowly make your way to a seated position. So maybe that's putting your hands behind you, maybe that's just getting yourself all the way up. So you can have your legs either crossed or in a butterfly pose with your feet together, or even just straight out in front of you, whatever feels good for you. I'm gonna go ahead and have my legs crossed to them. We're gonna do a little bit of twisting here. So first, our head goes up towards the sky. Find your flat back here. Your shoulders go down and away, shoulder blades down towards the ground. And we'll just take a couple breaths here. And we're feeling the breath as it comes into your body. All right, big breath in, and on your next exhale, you're gonna turn towards the right. So with your head still up towards the sky, slowly placing one hand on one knee, or if your legs are straight in front of you, on your side, as your other hand goes behind you. Keeping your back as straight as possible, your spine straight, while just twisting your body towards the side. And just get a little bit deeper in the twist with every breath. And then slowly we're going to make our way off to the other side, keeping our back flat, head up towards the sky, and just twisting our body, twisting our torso. And once again, just getting a little bit deeper in this twist with every stretch, with every breath. So let's go ahead and bring our body back towards the center of the mat. And we're going to make our way into a tabletop pose. So placing our hands down on the ground, let's go ahead and get our shoulders stacked over our wrists and our hips stacked over our knees. We're going to tuck the belly button up into the spine, and then slowly come into a cat pose. So maybe we're doing a big exhale as you come into your cat. The tailbone rounds down, the chin rounds in. And then on your exhale, we're going to come into a cow pose. And inhaling as we come into cat. And exhale as you come into cow. Now moving with your breath at your own pace. One breath for cat, one breath for cow. And then you can do whatever feels comfortable for you too. If you'd rather do an inhale for one and an exhale for for the other. Switch it up. We're just trying to open up our spine right now, working our muscles, warming everything up. And making our way back into a flat tabletop pose here. Let's go ahead and look off to one side and then bringing our shoulder towards our hip. We're turning off in the other direction. Once again, shoulder into hip on the other side. So moving with your breath. Maybe an inhale for one side and an exhale for the next. Let's do one more on each side. And then make our way back into our flat tabletop pose. In which we are now going to do some circles with our bodies. So we're going to come up into a cat, circle off to one side, come all the way down to our cow, circle off to the other side, and back into cat. So just circling our body as so, kind of loosening everything up, feeling fun with it, having fun with your movements in your body. Moving with your breath. Duncan has come to say hi. This is my little puppy. Alright, slowly make our way back into center, and let's do our circles off in the opposite direction. Just having fun with it, moving all around, moving your body with your breath. Do one more circle, and then back into our center tabletop pose. Let's make our way into a downward facing dog. We're going to curl the toes under, lift the hips up towards the sky, and take a few breaths here, finding a flat back, all the way from your wrists up to your tailbone, and then maybe walking your legs out a little bit, getting those heels closer to the ground. And just stretching out the hamstrings in the back of your legs. Alright, then we'll slowly go ahead and walk our feet towards the front of the mat. So you can walk, you can hop, you can do whatever you feel feels good for you as you make your way to the top of the mat. With probably really bent knees, or if you want to have straight knees, that's fine. And then slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. We'll make our way all the way to standing. Bring the shoulder blades down the back. Let's ground down through all four corners of the feet as we stand here in our mountain pose. Take a few breaths here as we just ground ourselves. Go ahead and reach our arms up in the air. Reach, reach, reach. Shoulder blades still coming down the back. We're keeping our spine flat. Don't want to have a too big of an arch. We're not doing that quite yet. So that also means engaging your core, bringing that belly button, bringing the whole just belly and back into the back of the spine. And then hinging at the hips, we'll keep a flat back as we come into a little bit of a forward fold, or a really big forward fold. And then all the way down, you can loosen your back, loosen your spine as you go ahead and let your arms and your head drop down towards the mat. We'll just take a breath or two here, maybe swing side to side if that feels good for you. Take a few more breaths here. Alright, and then center ourselves and roll up again, one vertebrae at a time, making our way all the way to standing, all the way to mountain. Just opening up our spine here, opening up our back, feeling good about it. Let's do another reach up towards the sky. And this time we're gonna round down, rounding our spine all the way down, making our way all the way back into that forward fold. And then make our way into a half lift. We'll come up into a flat back. So that means your hands can be on your shins or maybe your upper thigh, whatever feels good for you. Head is going towards the front of the room or towards the front of your mat. Just gazing down at your feet. And then release as we come all the way back down again into our forward fold. Let's bring our hands down to the mat and we're going to step back into a plank pose. Awesome. And then from here, let's kind of just rock back and forth. So keeping your shoulders relatively over your wrists, but of course we're moving a little bit. You want to keep your spine as flat as possible. Your head all the way from the top of the head down to the heels, trying to keep that flat. Just taking a few breaths here. All right, and then we'll go ahead and stabilize and make your way down into a chaturanga. So maybe if you have to put your knees down for this, maybe you can just go all the way down and then make your way into an upward facing dog. Open the chest towards the front of the room. Find a nice rounding in your spine. You don't want to hinge at any point in your spine. You want it to be super nice and soft and round. And then we'll release all the way back down to the mat. And then find a way into another downward facing dog. Curl the toes under. Lift the hips up towards the sky. Awesome. And then hang out here in our downward facing dog for another second or two. Awesome. Let's go ahead and walk our feet all the way towards the top of the mat again. And then for the last time here, well, the last time for right now, we're going to round our spine one vertebrae at a time and make your way all the way to standing. Perfect. All right. Let's get into some peak poses next. Now that our body should be all warmed up, our muscles all loose and nice, let's go ahead and find some power in our stretches. All right, so keeping your right foot in front, take your back leg back. We're making our way into a warrior two. So we're gonna have our heel in between the arch of the foot. Front knee is bent, it's stacked over that front ankle. Our hips are open towards the side of the room. Our whole body is open towards the side of the room. We'll bring our arms out to either side, parallel to the ground, as we then gaze at our front finger. We'll take a few breaths here, just feeling all the muscles, feeling your whole body, gazing at the front and finding the power. And let's make our way into a reverse warrior. So our hand comes down our back leg as our arm comes up and over, finding a nice arch in our side bodies as we gaze up towards the sky. Just two more breaths here. We're moving relatively quickly. I don't like to sit in any pose for too long. All right, let's bring our body back up again and making our way into a right angle pose. So our legs are still in the same place. And we'll go ahead and bring our hand down towards the ground, or if you want, you can have your arm on your thigh or a block to help you. Whatever feels good for you. We're gonna stack our shoulders one on top of the other and gaze up at the ceiling. Once again, finding the power in this pose, opening up our hips, and just feeling the body as we stay in this pose. So we're breathing through every movement. So every movement you make, you want to attach that to a breath, whether that's an inhale or an exhale or an inhale and an exhale. We just want to be able to move our body with our breath. And let's bring that arm down, and we're going to make our way into a little bit of a low lunge. So twisting the back foot, getting on the ball of the back foot. We'll bring our arms down, and maybe you need to bring that knee down to the earth. Maybe you like it up off the ground. Either way, we'll just take a few breaths here. We're opening the chest towards the front of the room, gazing at the front of the room, and just feeling this hip opener. Take one more big breath here and make our way into a twist. So maybe bringing the left hand a little bit closer to the right foot. We'll lift our right hand up in the air and find the strength in the twist. gaze up at the ceiling, gaze up at our fingers, stacking our shoulders one on top of the other. Awesome, let's bring that arm right back down to the ground again, and we're gonna make our way again into a plank pose. So bringing that backwards. We'll stay here for just 2 breaths before we make our way into that chaturanga again. So chaturanga all the way down to the earth, and then into an upward facing dog. And then we'll go all the way back down again, and then push back into another downward facing dog. So lifting the hips up towards the sky. Take another couple breaths here. And then we're going to do all those peak poses again on the other side. So if you want to walk your feet forward or hop all the way forward, whatever feels good for you. We're going to round up one vertebrae at a time, making our way all the way to standing. Awesome. And then make our way into that warrior 2 pose again. So let's go ahead and step back for the right foot this time, getting the heel in line with the arch of the back foot. The knee is stacked over our ankle and our hips are open towards the side of the room. Our whole body is up and towards the side of the room as our arms come out parallel to the ground and we gaze forward at our fingers. We'll take a few breaths here, feeling the power in the pose. Feeling our muscles as they keep us here. Feeling a little bit of a hip opener here. And just gazing forward. Perfect. And then we'll come into a little bit of an arch again, right? So into our reverse warrior, our hand comes down our back leg as our other arm comes up and over, feeling the arch in our spine and our side body. You can gaze up towards the sky and just take a few breaths here, just feeling the pose, feeling the strength, and feeling the power. So let's make our way again into that right angle pose. So once again, you can have your arm on your thigh or on a block or just all the way down to the ground. We're just keeping that knee stacked over that ankle and our shoulders stacked one on top of the other as we gaze up at the sky. Getting more into our hip openers here. Feeling the strength and the power of every pose. Feeling the strength and the power that you bring to the table every day. Awesome, let's bring that arm down to the ground and we're gonna make our way into that low lunge again, coming onto the ball of the back foot. Opening the chest towards the front of the room. You can drop that back knee down if you wish, or just keep it up high. Whatever feels good for you. We're opening the hip even more here. And still moving the body with the breath. Let's do one more breath here, in and out. And then make our way into that twist again. So maybe we're bringing the hand a little bit closer to the foot as we twist into our knee. Reaching our arm up in the air and taking a few more breaths here. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and bring that hand back down towards the ground and once again make our way into another plank pose. We'll go through that little chaturanga downward facing dog up into standing one more time. So chaturanga all the way down to an upward facing dog. And then push back into a downward facing dog. Moving with our breath. So every movement takes a breath. And then either tiny steps, a hop, or a big step up towards the front of the mat. Rolling up one vertebrae at a time. All the way up into our mountain pose. Let's do a little bit of a twist again here. So just maybe bring your hand over to your hip, other hand behind you. Keeping your hips facing towards the front of the room, we're just twisting our torso. Maybe gazing behind us a little bit. Taking a couple breaths here. Our shoulder blades are still going down our back as we're keeping a straight spine, just twisting the torso. And then on your next breath, we're gonna twist all the way to the other side of the body. Bring the hand, opposite hand to the opposite hip, and just twisting back again. Feeling a twist in the body. Awesome, and then once again, gaze towards the front of the room. We're gonna come into another forward fold. So reach the arms up in the air. I'm gonna do a flat back here, hinging at the hips as we come all the way down. As far as you can go with your flat back, and then releasing and letting the spine around as your head drops down towards the ground. Perfect. And let's go ahead and round all the way up. So rolling in one more time, up one vertebrae at a time. Make our way all the way standing. And then again, all the way down. Reach up in the air, into the hips, and come all the way forward. I love this stretch because it's great for the back and for the hamstrings. The whole lower body and upper body, just feeling the stretch of this move. All right, let's make our way again into a tabletop pose. So stepping back, sorry. Come into a plank first maybe, drop the knees down. So we have our shoulders over the wrists still, hips over the knees. And we're actually gonna make our way into a child's pose from here. So bringing the hips backwards towards the ground or towards the heels. As you then go ahead and reach your arms out in front of you, just getting your body as flat as you can. So for this child's pose, you can either have your knees together or off to either side. This is just a relaxed, nice pose to help us relax and release from all those power moves we were just doing. So we'll just take a few breaths here as we're focusing on our breathing, maybe focusing on a little bit of our day too. What we've done so far, what we're planning to do later, just thinking about our life. And then let's come into a little bit of a twisted child's pose. So let's go ahead and reach one arm up in the air and then slide that arm underneath our armpit as we bring the side of the face down towards the mat. And we'll take a few breaths here. Duncan has come to say hello again. Hi, Dunky. Yeah? Someone wants to play. Let's make our way back up again. I can get up into our child's pose here. So I have 3 dogs, by the way. This is just one of them. Hey, baby. All right, child's pose on the other side. So I know you can't necessarily see me because I got a dog here, but just reach the opposite arm up in the air and then slide that underneath our armpit, bringing the side of the face down to the mat as we gaze off in the opposite direction. Just releasing and relaxing and feeling the stretch and the twist in our body. Donkey. He's a puppy. puppy, so he doesn't quite get it yet. Yeah, good boy. We're making our way back into that child's pose again, both arms out in front of us. And let's actually make our way up into a seated position. That's my other dog. So bringing our legs out in front of us. We're gonna have flat legs, flat front in front of us. So if you have to sit on a bolster, or a blanket, or anything to help you get that flat back, go ahead and do that. If you need to have your knees a little bit bent, that's completely fine too. Just bring our legs out in front of us, bring our feet out in front of us, and then we're gonna come into a little bit of a forward fold. So hinging at the hips with as flat a back as you can make it. Reach forward as far as you can. Maybe you just get to your knees, maybe you just get to your shins, maybe you get all the way down to your toes. We're trying to keep our back flat and feeling that stretch in our hamstrings and the lower back. And we'll just take 2 breaths here because this is a hard pose to hold, especially if you're super tense. Can't think of the right word. Oh, yeah, super tense. Your body is just not open and relaxed yet. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and relax the spine a little bit more, kind of round it over, maybe reach a little bit further and you're in a little bit of a round. And then make our way all the way back down onto the mat. So rolling our spine back 1 vertebrae at a time. Make our way all the way to a flat laying down pose, where we started basically. Well, kind of. We're gonna move on a little bit from here. So keeping the back as flat as the mat as you can. Let's go ahead and bring our knees up towards our chest. And just take a few breaths here. Maybe we're rocking and rolling on the spine, taking little circles here and there. Maybe one direction and then the next. Maybe just a few in one direction. Just like a little massage of the spine on the mat. It's okay. Yeah, nice. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and come into a twist next. So bring our knees up into a tabletop pose here. We're going to bring our arms out to either side of our body. And then we're going to go ahead and drop the knees down slowly, keeping our shoulder blades stuck to the mat. And just feeling the twist in the spine. So if you can't get all the way down, that's completely fine. Just go as far as you can go and gaze off in the opposite direction of your knees. Alright, and slowly let's make our way back up to that tabletop pose with our knees, and then drop them down and off to the opposite side of the body. We will take a few more breaths here, gazing off in the opposite direction. Slowly, we'll bring our knees right back up into the center again. And one last pose here. Let's come into a little bit of straddle pose. So as far as you can either grab the soles of your feet, maybe just the toes, maybe just the shins or the calves, and maybe even just the thighs if that's as far as you can go. But we're going to try and bring our knees down into our armpits and just take a few more breaths here. Try to keep the back flat on the mat too. We don't want to round it too far up and over. Straddle pose, or this is baby pose. Alright, let's go ahead and release our legs and let them fall down onto the mat. Bringing our arms to either side of our body. Trying to keep our spine still flat on the mat. And just release and relax. Alright, thank you so much for coming to my yoga session today. That was a very nice, quick little session wherein you got to see my dog try and distract me, which worked very easily. Anyways, namaste. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Thanks for joining PopZique.